Hello and welcome back to the Military Matrix. Tonight, we bring you an urgent and deeply unsettling development from Eastern Europe, where newly surfaced explosive footage has shed fresh light on one of the most shocking attacks to hit Russia's strategic infrastructure in years. What you're about to hear is a comprehensive breakdown of what happened, why it matters, and how this single incident has rippled through global intelligence networks, international military channels, and the geopolitical landscape. Analysts are calling it one of the most symbolic strikes in the ongoing conflict, a moment that shook Moscow's confidence and electrified the global media cycle. The footage, verified through multiple defense intelligence sources, captures the exact moment an explosives-laden vehicle detonates on a critical Russian bridge, a structure long regarded as both a military artery and a psychological pillar of authority. As the blast erupts, a massive fireball engulfs the span, sending shockwaves outward and lighting up the night sky in a split second of violent brilliance. The bridge itself shudders under the force, and in the seconds that follow, plumes of thick smoke billow upward as flames race across the asphalt. The scene is breathtaking, devastating, and undeniably historic. According to the latest intelligence, the attack was carried out with remarkable precision. Security analysts observing the footage emphasize that the strike was not a random or spontaneous act, but a meticulously planned operation with clear objectives. The timing, the delivery, and the nature of the explosive payload all point to a sophisticated level of coordination. Some experts have suggested that reconnaissance drones may have been used to track Russian patrol patterns, enabling operatives to strike at a moment when surveillance was at its weakest. Others believe the detonation point was carefully selected to maximize structural damage while minimizing the possibility of immediate interception. Russia's Ministry of Defense quickly released an official statement condemning the attack as an act of terrorism, vowing swift retaliation. Within hours, Russian state media went into full crisis mode, showing images of the damaged section of the bridge and claiming that emergency crews were racing to stabilize the structure. However, independent analysts observing live satellite imagery provided a more sobering assessment, noting that the damage appears far more extensive than initial Russian reports suggested. Some engineers believe critical load-bearing components were compromised, potentially rendering the bridge partially unusable for weeks, if not months. This bridge, often described as one of Russia's most strategically significant transport routes, carries heavy logistical convoys, including fuel, ammunition, and armored vehicles. Any disruption to its operation creates immediate complications for Russian military planning, particularly in contested territories where the flow of reinforcements and supplies can determine the outcome of frontline battles. The footage of the explosion, therefore, is far more than a dramatic visual. It represents a direct hit on Russia's wartime mobility and command confidence. What makes this incident even more significant is how openly it challenges Moscow's long-standing narrative of impenetrable security. Russian officials have repeatedly boasted that their infrastructure is capable of withstanding major sabotage attempts. Yet this footage tells a different story, one of vulnerabilities, intelligence gaps, and operational blind spots. Military analysts say that the psychological impact of such an attack may prove even more damaging than the physical destruction. A single successful strike can trigger internal doubt, force command realignments, and prompt Moscow to reallocate resources away from the front lines toward defensive measures. On the other side, supporters of the operation have celebrated it as a bold act of resistance, a symbolic strike at one of Russia's most prized assets. Social media channels lit up within minutes of the footage leaking, with images of the burning bridge spreading across platforms worldwide. Hashtags surged, reaction videos appeared, and commentators dissected every frame of the explosion. For the watching global audience, it became not just a military event, but a viral geopolitical moment, a reminder of how modern warfare extends far beyond the battlefield into the realms of perception, influence, and digital storytelling. Meanwhile, military experts are divided on whether the attack was carried out by local special forces, an elite sabotage team, or external operatives. Some point to the precision of the operation as evidence of advanced training and foreign intelligence support. Others insist the strike reflects a growing grassroots capability within the region, an evolution in insurgency tactics designed to target Russia's most sensitive pressure points. Regardless of who is responsible, the attack has exposed a key vulnerability in Russia's defensive posture. Critical infrastructure that spans long distances is difficult to guard and carries out essential wartime functions. Within Russian political circles, frustration reportedly reached a boiling point. Insiders claim that command officials held an emergency overnight meeting to address the situation, discussing both the operational failure and the public relations disaster. Russia's internal security forces are said to be combing through every checkpoint, transport log, and surveillance archive, searching for clues about how such an explosive, laden vehicle could cross multiple layers of defensive screening. The footage, according to experts, suggests a complete bypassing of detection systems that Moscow once described as airtight. As daylight returned to the site of the blast, drone footage revealed fire, damaged steel beams, scorched concrete, and vehicles abandoned on the bridge's approaches. Crews wearing protective gear were seen working to secure dangling sections of railing and remove burn, doubt debris, but structural engineers caution that underlying damage may be far worse than what cameras show. The expansion joints, the tension cables, and the reinforced supports, all integral to the bridge's integrity, may have suffered unseen stress fractures. If confirmed, Russia could be forced into a costly and time-consuming reconstruction effort. This attack also triggered immediate consequences on the battlefield. Supply convoys were rerouted across alternate paths that are slower, more exposed, and far less efficient. Military analysts warn that any delay in logistics could create tactical openings for opposing forces, especially in areas where rapid resupply is essential for maintaining combat momentum. Even a brief disruption in fuel or ammunition delivery can reshape engagements on the ground, allowing adversaries to capitalize on weakened Russian positions. Diplomatically, the reaction was swift and polarized. Western governments called for calm analysis, avoiding direct accusations but acknowledging the footage as a clear sign of escalating tensions. Nations aligned with Russia, however, condemned the strike as a reckless provocation and expressed concern that it could trigger a broader regional backlash. Intelligence communities worldwide began recalibrating threat models, recognizing that infrastructure attacks may increase as combatants shift toward asymmetric strategies. But beyond the political and military implications, there is a human element: the people who were on the bridge at the moment of the explosion. Eyewitness accounts describe scenes of panic, smoke, filled air, collapsing pavement, and vehicles swerving desperately to escape the fire's growing reach. Some survivors reported hearing a powerful shockwave, followed by a moment of disorientation as debris rained down. Emergency responders reportedly faced dangerous conditions as they worked to pull individuals from damaged cars and escort civilians to safety. As investigators continue analyzing the footage frame by frame, several unanswered questions remain. How exactly was the explosive device transported onto the bridge? Was it manually triggered or remotely detonated? Were there secondary devices intended to target rescue personnel? And perhaps most importantly, what message does this attack send to Moscow, its allies, and the world? What is clear is that this operation was designed not only to damage a bridge, but to send a symbolic warning that even Russia's most heavily guarded assets are vulnerable. It challenges the perception of invulnerability that the Kremlin has tried to project, while simultaneously emboldening those who seek to undermine Russia's strategic control. In the realm of modern warfare, symbolism matters, and this attack delivered a message loud enough to echo through military briefings across the globe. As the footage continues to circulate, geopolitical analysts warn that reprisals may be inevitable. Russia's leadership has historically responded to high-profile attacks with a combination of military escalation and sweeping security crackdowns. If Moscow interprets this event as a direct assault on its sovereignty, it may seek to demonstrate strength through increased operations, further tightening of borders, or heightened offensive activity on existing fronts. For now, the world waits. The bridge burns in slow-motion replay across screens big and small, a dramatic symbol of a conflict that shows no signs of fading. The footage remains as visceral as ever, a stark reminder of how quickly moments of calm can be shattered, how vulnerable even the most fortified structures can be, and how deeply the consequences of a single explosion can reverberate across nations. This has been a developing report from the military matrix. More updates are expected in the coming days as intelligence agencies release new findings, satellite imagery offers clearer assessments, and geopolitical players respond to the shockwaves of this unprecedented attack. Stay alert, stay informed, and continue following us as we monitor every angle of this rapidly evolving situation.